tonight we have something really good. A hot topic in the news this week's been charged with crime. This is a show where I try to educate real stories. Thank you for watching Truth and Justice with Vivian King. Tonight, we're going to try to educate you more about the criminal justice system. I have two lay people in the audience today, no lawyers tonight. We have with us Gary Wade, and I have with Kelvin Williams. Kelvin came a few weeks ago and told his story. He's one of my brothers in Christ, both of them are. We all go to St. John's United Methodist Church. But tonight we're spotlighting Gary Wade. Gary has had a very interesting story. He's a small businessman who knows something about the criminal justice system. And as you know, that's our focus, is to tell real stories and to educate through people's real lives what really happens in the criminal justice system. Both of them can share experiences about prison and about things that we can tell to our young people about what's going on with the criminal justice system. So Gary, without any further ado, let's just talk about your story. Gary, who are you and how did you get touched by the criminal justice system?
Well, as you say, Gary Wade is my name. I was born in Monroe, Louisiana. I was raised here in Houston, in south side of Houston, Sunnyside, South Park, 3rd Ward. Like most African-American, guys growing up, just was devilish, doing things I ain't had no business doing, didn't have to do it, just, I don't know if it was peer pressure, I don't know if it was trying to fit in, but whatever it was, it led me in that path, and even today, some 20, 30 years later, I'm not upset with that path at all because my incarceration really grew me up. It made me realize that it was time to step up to the plate and be a man, One of the most important things, or one of the events that happened while I was incarcerated, was my mother passed, And when she passed, prior to her death, mom was always there. Mother was always there for me and all my siblings. But when she passed...
Let me ask you this. How many siblings do you have?
I have 5 older brothers.
Wow.
And 3 younger sisters. And I'm the baby boy,
Wow.
And all of my brothers and sisters, for the most part, live here in Houston.
So your mother was a rock?
Oh, absolutely.
And were your parents together? Was your dad
No,
around?
actually, my mother moved us here in Houston in the middle 60s. My mother was a gospel disc jockey, a gospel promoter.
Back in the 60s?
Back in the 60s.
Wow.
In fact, people that know Sister Lori Hunter, interesting story, she had 3 radio programs, 1 hour on each one. And I remember clearly she paid $300 for that hour show. And she sold 30 minutes airtime on each one of them at $100 a minute. I know this because I collected the money from the small business folks. And back in the 60s and 70s, she was making $10,000 per week.
Wow.
Which was absolutely phenomenal for an African-American woman in the city of Houston. So
it was.
I kind of grew up in, in that kind of atmosphere.
That
business
small business atmosphere, instead of working for someone else, making it happen for yourself.
I've always seen my mother do that. I've always.
Wow.
My father worked one job for 40 years, but my mom was the ultimate entrepreneur. In fact, people that know me knew that I was in the music business for a long time here in the city of Houston. I used to do this music convention because I have this love to educate people, period, but mostly African-American and minority kids. I really want them to be somebody,
right.
Because I'm a product of something that I could have done better had I knew things that I know now.
Right.
But in any event, when I used to do this music convention, people used to ask me, well, who gave you the audacity to be in the music distribution business? Because being an African-American distributor was like unheard of. And I was asked that question, and what they didn't know was, in the 60s and 70s, my mom owned 5 or 6 retail record stores prior to Blockbuster, Warehouse. Before those companies even came on the scene, we owned chain stores. My mom was also a prominent gospel DJ in the city of Houston. My mother also played the piano for the Staple Singers, Mighty Clouds of Joy, Shirley Caesar, and my brothers were gospel singers, and my sisters were the Winnett gospel singers here in Houston. So I grew up in the entertainment industry. You know, and I wasn't a singer or a producer or promoter, but I understood the business. So when I got into the music business, hell, I grew up in it, so I knew it, you know.
Wow. What years did you get it? Was that before you went to prison or after?
It was after. It was after.
Well, let's talk about before. So let's talk before we get that far. So tell us what led you there. Tell us about your first experiences that led you to the system. You have some interesting stories about Joe Keegan, who was a famous judge of the 230th District Court. In fact, one of the state jails is named after her. So many people got to meet the famous Joe Keegan. She was one of the first female judges in criminal courts in Harris County.
Well, Judge Joe Keegan and I had a run-in because back then when she was still living and on the bench, my ex-wife was her clothier. She sold her clothes. And Maryland and Judge Keegan developed a strong relationship, obviously, if you dressing a judge, you know, all the time. And what I did not know was Joe Keegan's was one of Maryland's customers. So when I got in trouble, and honestly, I can't remember what it was so long ago, but I do remember going in Joe Keegan's court. And I remember my ex-wife going to court with me, and Judge Keegan's recognizing her and seeing us together and put the two together. And so my case changed, because instead of the judge addressing me in the open court, I basically was invited into her chambers and was talked to like a parent would talk to a child. I mean, with some harsh words. We can't.
So there is a difference when you know the judge.
Well, I didn't know the judge. I didn't know the judge.
But somebody have a relationship that you know. There's a difference in when you go in, because I'm bringing that up to say that how we vote for the people in the system that's actually in there benefits us by knowing them, by picking them. That way they're not that it's favor, but then the correction of it is not so harsh that it's not a face in it, or communication.
I agree, because, sitting here saying that if you have a relationship with the trier of facts, it may be a benefit.
Yeah.
But going through the system, here's one thing I do know. First of all, if you don't do anything to put yourself in a position, then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But just so happen, if you get yourself in trouble and have to deal with your judicial system, at least understand what you did.
Yeah. Well, but like the system has a thing where they have Republican judges and Democratic judges. And the Democratic judges don't necessarily win all the time, because the Republicans make sure that they get their judges in office. So the judges that are in office, so if some of their kids get in trouble or something happen where they have somebody they can call, and it becomes a different playing field. So what I'm saying is, when we don't get out and vote, we can put somebody in office on as the president, but in our local area, if we're not putting the people that can actually take care of, that know where we come from, that, that's a personal relationship, somebody that you grew up with, you know what I'm saying? It's just like I used to have guys, you always think, oh, Bush doing this, Bush doing that. But the deal is, who do you call on when you're in a position, and need something done? You would call on partner. It's like if I'm doing something, selling pipe or whatever, I'm telling them to call Gary, because I know Gary.
Right. Well, Kevin, I agree with you, but here's what I believe. I believe, number one, like I said, if you don't do anything to put yourself in that position, then you don't have to worry about that. But just so happen, if you're arrested for something that you didn't do.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's changed a lot now. My issues was 30 years ago. And I'm not going to say whether I did it or not 30 years later, but I paid the price for it.
Yeah.
But here's one thing I do know. If the facts support that you didn't do it, chances are you're not going to go to jail or go to prison. Chances are. But if you did it, then the facts basically going to support that.
Yeah.
So you have to know if you did what they said you did. And no matter if you go before a Republican judge or a Democratic judge, if the facts say you did it, chances are you're going to go to prison.
Well, let me tell you, we know that there are facts that I think a couple of years ago they was letting people out of prison because of some discrepancies with
DNA.
DNA.
Right,
You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
So if somebody don't pursue the evidence or look at the whole picture, you know, I feel if somebody know me, then they know my character, that if something happened, even if I did it or didn't do it, I have a better getting a fair trial. We know there are some people who's locked up or who's gotten in trouble didn't get a fair shake.
Right. Well,
know?
well, Kevin, you know, again, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I'll say this. That's why we need sharp attorneys like Vivian.
Yeah, yeah.
Those that's going to be dedicated and go out and get it done. One of the issues that I see with our criminal justice system, especially when I was involved in it, I don't know how it is now because I haven't been involved in a long time, but most attorneys did not want to go out and represent their clients.
Yeah.
All they wanted was that $250 appearance fee, whatever the court
Call
pay
them
them, and
public pretender.
reset it. Yeah, public defender, reset it a couple, 2 or 3 times, make $1,000 off of them, then go back to the guy and say, hey, they offered you 8 years, take 4, and
Yeah.
you know. And again, I'm not a lawyer, but I know if I done something that it's going to be very difficult for me to be coerced by an attorney to have me to go plea, especially if I didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to want that court-appointed attorney that the court appointed me to go to work. Now, most attorneys is going to try to find the easy way out, especially if they're not getting paid.
Yeah, but we also want judges to be fair too, because I think judges are, if you're getting a judge from an area of town that who's never experienced the hood, so to speak, and all he heard was about what the hood does. So that means that everybody come in from the hood, he looking at this way, and everybody that's coming from his side of town, he looking another way.
But you know, Kevin, let me tell you something. The laws of the land, the laws are written to protect the people.
And it's interpreted by people.
And it is. And the judge is the trier of facts, and he's the referee. And if a sharp lawyer brings the law before the court, the judge have to rule on the law. Now, do they all rule on the law? No, that's the purpose of the appeal purpose. And again, speaking of Vivian, if she understands that she filed a motion or whatever with the court and the court just ignored her motion and she knows that this motion is law, and the judge didn't rule in her favor, then she understands that she had to take it to somebody higher than him.
Right.
You know, and so what I've learned with the criminal justice system.
Stay out of it.
Stay out of it, number one. Stay out of it, number one. And one reason you stay out of it because it's very expensive.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't have any money, chances are lawyers go to school to practice law. That's their job. You know, and they don't want to do pro se work.
Yeah.
They want to get paid for their service, and rightfully so.
Right.
And if you want a very good lawyer have to go to work.
And they have to be paid.
And have to be paid.
Right.
You know, and again, a good lawyer understands the law. And no matter what the local judge made a rule on, that good lawyer know that, Judge, you just ruled on this in the district court in Harris County. But somebody in a higher court is not going to agree with this.
Yeah.
And so judges are held to a standard as well. One of the reasons why the judges that you speak of that don't come from our community that represent us, the lawyers that we hire don't push them to the limits. You know, and judges know that if you make a bad ruling and if you have a tough lawyer like a Vivian King, Craig Washington, Walter Pink when he was living, those lawyers who's not just going to accept anything, then they understand that they have a lawyer in this courtroom that if you don't rule fairly, then the buck don't stop with you. I'm going to take it higher, and you know I am.
I guess.
Let's stop for a minute and take a phone call. Thank you. Caller, you're on. Turn your volume down on your TV and ask us a question, please.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. I want to know about these lawyers when they know that the time that we going to get, they want to keep on taking it to the resetting it and resetting it, but they know the time what we going to get.
Well, let me just tell you how that process works. On the first day a case is filed, the prosecutor, when they get that case in court, the chief prosecutor of the court, each court has, it's 37 criminal courts, 22 felony. Felony means it's prison time related to it, 15 misdemeanor, jail time up to a year. When those prosecutors get that case, the chief prosecutor reviews it and puts a recommendation on there. It could be prison time. So if you've been to prison twice, on your first court date, they're going to put 25 years on there. It could be a felon in possession of a weapon. I'm in trial right now, felon in possession of a weapon. I have a jury deliberating, and they're deliberating on guilt, innocence. Deliberating all day. But they put a recommendation on there. And from there, the lawyer then has a duty to get the police report, review it, get their client's side of the story, and investigate it. Go talk to witnesses if it's a witness type of case. Did you do it? Did you do what they said do? It's like a football game. We're the defense. We're ready. I'm a tough lawyer. I'm smart. I'm learned. I'm in battle every day. But I can't play until the offense plays. The state is the offense. They bring us that offense report. When they move, we move. When they move, we move. So we have to be ready for what they're doing. But many lawyers, like Gary Wade just said, they're plea lawyers. A plea lawyer is going to say, quote you $3,000 and then reset it and get your money over installments. And then once they you pay them, then they're going to go ahead and give you the recommendation that's on the file. Right. That's what most lawyers do. But on the flip side, most people can't afford to pay the $3,000 up front. And some lawyers will investigate, but 90% of all cases are resolved either by a plea bargain, by you pleading guilty, or it being dismissed. Only about 5 to 10% of all cases go to trial. I go to trial with my cases if my people say they didn't do it. So this is the problem. If you want a trial, though, say, for example, my client who wants a trial, each court has 1,000 cases pending right now. So if Gary Wade, Kelvin, or me get arrested tonight, in that court we're assigned to, and they're evenly distributed. The felony courts is 22. So tonight, if we 3 get arrested for different crimes and they're felonies, he's going to go to one, I'm going to go to the next one, you're going to go to the next one, until the first 22 people that get arrested for a felony tonight, they're going to evenly distribute them, and then they start over again. All right? They do it, they used the old-fashioned way when I was a prosecutor, it's like a bingo. You know how the old bingo? Mm-hmm. They have 22 numbers, and then they pull them out and give them the next one, and then once they've done all 22, they throw them back in there. Right. Now with computers, I'm sure it's a different way. Right. But that's what they do. So if you really are not guilty and you want a trial, it's going to be reset, because I'm trying a case in December for something that happened in December of last year. And when he hired me, I was to go to trial for him because he did not want to take a plea, or else he would have kept a court-appointed lawyer. Okay? So it's going to take you a year to go to trial. So that's not the lawyer's fault. It's a fault of the system. That's why I'm educating you. They should be like federal court. States should be like federal court and give you a scheduling order and say, okay, you come back this day and this is your trial date.
And you can ask for a speedy trial.
Right. Well, we don't have that in state court, though. And so you can do that, and they shouldn't be making you come every month and every week, though, is what I'm saying. If they know you want a trial, you shouldn't come back for a year. Exactly. But they make you come back to make you tired and pissed off and say, screw it, I'll just go ahead and take a plea.
Do you have a case pending now in the criminal courts?
Young man?
Yeah, I was. Yes, I was, but I don't plead for it, and I got screwed over.
Did you take probation or jail?
Probation.
Why did you take probation?
If I would have went to trial, I ain't had the money. They're going to screw me around.
Okay. Well, I mean, you raise a good point, because, like I said earlier, if you don't have the money to get you some strong legal representation, chances are you're not going to get good legal representation. Good lawyers cost money, and there's a lot of good lawyers in this city, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to pay them, and that's why I tell people all the time that if you are out committing crimes, you need to save you some money so you can get you a good lawyer if you get caught, because you're going to need a good lawyer if you don't want to go in and plea bargain.
And the thing is, everybody wants to get paid. It's always funny when people come to me, they'll call me because I do the show, they'll call me because I'm a woman, and they'll say, I need a lawyer, but I don't have no money. And my flip thing is, well, do you work for free? I mean, I know nobody that works for free, and I've done a lot of cases for free, but they don't turn around and cut my grass or fix my roof or do the things that I need money for, pay for my child's tuition. And so you have to understand, like Gary Wade said, if you're going to do the crime, you got to have some money to pay for it. But what hurts me the most, though, is to see people that plead guilty to crimes they didn't commit because they didn't have the money.
Right.
Yeah.
You should really then lean on the court-appointed system. The court-appointed lawyers. This is the oxymoron of this whole thing. 75% of the court-appointed lawyers are better than any lawyer you could pay for.
That's right.
That's the part you don't know, because they're down there every day. They know the judges. They're all former prosecutors, so they have the experience. It's just that they can't speed the process up. See, what people are frustrated about is it's going to take a year to go to trial, and the courts keep making you come to court every 3 weeks, missing work, missing P-testing, and all that craziness, instead of just saying, we can't get to you for a year, come back in a year.
Yeah.
And that's what's wrong about the system. And if you get out there and you vote, people like me would change that system.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, a dog, the jail dog bit my son, and I was trying to see what can I do about that.
That's not a criminal case, and that's what my expertise is. That's civil. If someone bites you, you want to sue them for money, that's a civil dispute, and I don't deal with civil cases. I only deal with people charged with crimes.
Okay,
But I would just say, as a citizen, you can file a complaint with the sheriff's department, and then you would have to Google and look for a lawyer that sues people, because you want to sue somebody for the dog bite.
Yeah, because he can't walk.
Right. Well, you have to sue people. I'm giving you advice. That's the end of that. That's the answer. You got to find a lawyer that sues. Personal injury lawyers sue people. So you need a personal injury lawyer.
Okay.
Because your person was injured.
How long do I have? It's been like 3 years ago.
Probably 2 years of the statute of limitation, probably.
Yeah, I hesitate on giving legal advice on that, but please ask me any criminal question that you have.
Okay.
Okay, goodbye.
Thank you. So, Gary, let's talk again. Okay, let's get more into your story. You started off doing something you had no business doing. You were married to Marilyn at the time, had a small son, and you were with in Joe Keegan's court.
Right.
And let me tell you something about Joe Keegan. Unlike most judges, she was one that called you in her chambers.
Right.
Back in the old days, that was like something honorable, that a judge would invite you into their chambers, like you see on TV, like on Law and Order. These new school judges, last 20 years, that all ex-prosecutors, they don't do that. They don't do that anymore. Maybe they're friends, but they don't call people from the audience in anymore. That was something that Joe Keegan did if you were special to her.
She used to keep me back after after court was over with, and I just have to sit in a courtroom, and I mean, I knew deep inside that there was something about me that Judge Keegan's liked, because she didn't have to do for me the things that she did, although she was the reason I went to prison.
She did send you to prison.
She did send me to prison. Eventually, but during that process of going, it was something about this judge that I knew she wanted good for me.
Isn't that a beautiful thing?
Yeah,
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Caller, I'm ready for my next caller. We don't have a phone anymore, so I forget when I'm talking in the air, but please turn your volume down and speak to me. Thanks for calling.
Hello, Ms. King. How are you tonight?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing good, and I want to say hello to you kids. And this is a very good show you have tonight because, I'm your number one fan. But these guys here tonight, I mean, they got to be fans too because I can tell they watch it because most of the things they're saying is like they're just regurgitating some of the things we've been covering for the past couple of years.
I don't think Gary Way's ever seen the show.
I've never seen the show. I just know how the system is.
He never seen it. He's one of my church members. That two Sundays ago, I said, well, "You're an interesting man. Will you please be on my show?" And he said yes. So no, he's never seen it before. And Kelvin had never seen it before. He came 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So no, he'd never seen it before either. They just, what I found interesting in Houston is people have good stories to tell. I mean, I think this is a good show and a good format. People have been with this system. And what I get the reason why I do this show, like I told you before, is that every time people call me, they say, my son's in trouble and I don't know anything about the criminal justice system. This has never happened to me before. We've never had an experience with this in our family. And so that's a shame because there's so many young people that are in the system. Why don't you know about the system?
Right.
Why don't you know? You got 37 judges that you don't vote for and you're frustrated because they don't give you a bone. Maybe you need to know.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to learn about the system. So I just said, kind of like any good leader should. If I don't, who will?
If I may, I can remember when I was incarcerated, I couldn't read magazines. I couldn't read none of that stuff. So what I could do was go to the law library. I could read what I was being charged with, what other people was being charged with, the A, B, C, and D, what they can, what they cannot do. And so when I was able to obtain that knowledge, when I had an attorney, and when my attorney talked to me, I could talk to my attorney. I could hold a good legal conversation because I was the one in the position. I was the one facing the time. I am the one who knew if I did it or not. And I know if I gave my attorney the ammunition to go in and fight with, let's go. You know, no matter who the judge might be.
Right.
You know, I'm a firm believer that if you're right and you know you're right, and no matter who the judge is, there's a higher power that's going to move on that judge, and that judge is going to have a difficult time fighting the law, the one that that judge agreed to uphold. Now, granted, and I'll be the first one to tell you that chances are that other judge is going to get a benefit of the doubt to his boy or his girl most of the time. But with a good, sharp lawyer and you understanding the law and what's going on, because the law is not held back from lay people. You can go to any university, you can buy law books all day long.
And now with the internet, you can
You
Google
can go
it.
online.
You can go
Exactly,
online. The
and
Texas Penal
understand.
Code, all the Texas statutes are
All
online.
that stuff is there,
It's all online now.
and you just need to be aware of it. You know, when I was incarcerated.
Hold on just a moment. Tracy, you have any other thoughts you want to say before we get into more of Gary's story?
Yeah. I want to say, Kelvin, I think you know, you're imparting some good information there. I like what you said about how you know, a lot of people don't go out and vote in the local elections and stuff like that. That's why I figure you probably watch the show, because you know, we talk about that a lot too.
Oh yeah,
And then,
I just think that's a bigger issue all the way around. We complain a lot about stuff. Something that I've been thinking about all week is they say what you tolerate, you will never change. And so Nelson Mandela didn't tolerate his people being treated, so he sacrificed himself and to speak out against it. The lady that in the bus, help me out.
Rosa Parks.
Rosa Parks didn't tolerate getting up out of her seat for nobody else. So the deal is, I believe, yeah, exactly, you know. But she didn't tolerate getting up because she was tired, you know. But the deal is, if we tolerate stuff, we don't change it. So we have to begin to change the system by getting out and participating in it. So just sitting back, not voting, not knowing what your community is doing, and having opportunity is the same thing about the school system. You want kids to learn the same thing, but you're not giving them the same opportunity. You're not even giving them the same things in the school. So it's stuff that we need to get out and really begin to vote and participate in, and it's on all levels. It's not just on the judicial system, but it's
everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Yeah,
We need to know.
education. Yeah, participate. You know, be part of the community.
Yeah, very quickly, I want to say, you know, Miss King, you got one quote you say all the time. You always say, "The truth never changes." And, you know, I like that. That's you know, that's somewhat, you know.
The truth doesn't change. When I'm in trial, the prosecutors will try to, young lawyers will say, well, don't tell them your defense, or don't, when you start the trial, don't, in your opening statement, don't tell the prosecutors. I'm like, the truth don't change.
Right, the truth is.
They can they can do whatever they want to, but the truth doesn't change. And it's unfortunate that the truth changes all through a trial, and mostly from the state. And the state prosecutors are not witnesses, so it shouldn't be changing. They should not be telling their witnesses what to say.
Right.
Yeah.
But they do. And the truth doesn't change. Explaining to them how the system works, explaining to them how to hold up, to keep their story the same is fine, but the truth doesn't change.
Okay, lastly, Mr. Wade, I want to appreciate you coming on and telling your story, but I'm waiting until you get to the point where you went wrong, because you had a pretty good background, so like you raised up in, so I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of your story. I'm going to hang up and I hate to, you know, disrupt the flow, but y'all go ahead and finish your story.
You know, the format, thank you, Tracy. My people are used to hearing that story in the first 15 minutes. So I let y'all go off because it was good, but they want to hear the story.
Let me set the record.
Let's hear the story.
Let me set the record straight. I grew up in Sunnyside, South Park, 3rd Ward. If it was wrong to do, I probably did it.
Okay.
Now, did I have to do it? Hell to the no. I did it because I wanted to do it. I thought it was all right to do it. And I think it was because of a lack of being educated. You know, educated from what I needed to do. I came from a well-to-do background.
Okay.
But my well-to-do background didn't have nothing to do with how I wanted to act. And so until I changed who I was and changed, see, I stopped wanting to be like somebody and be somebody.
But let's still talk about when you're trying to be like somebody. What were you doing wrong?
Oh, selling drugs, stealing, I mean, just whatever could do wrong. Stealing.
And when you got before Judge Keegan, she was nice to you, but she put you on probation.
Yes.
And then tell us how you got revoked to get to prison.
Well, I was doing the things that I was saying doing, you know, just doing devious things, selling drugs, hustling, stealing, robbing, just whatever.
Right.
You know, just what we do as African Americans, you know. And that's just a part of.
But did you have a normal job too?
I didn't have to have a job.
Okay.
I worked for my family,
I see.
you know, but at that time, I didn't think that was enough.
Okay.
And now that I'm older, what I didn't realize was I had more than enough.
Right.
But the peer pressure of growing up in the hood and wanting to be like everybody, I thought I needed more,
Right.
you know.
So when you finally went to prison, you got an 8-year sentence.
Correct.
Keegan revoked you.
Correct.
Yeah, although she took him in chambers,
She
talked
did
to him,
several times.
Hooked him up.
chastised him
Oh,
like a
yeah.
son,
Several-
cussed him out.
She really did cuss me out real good.
Like I would do if I was a judge. I'd have
Right.
cussed you out and
You know,
still sent you
no-
back to prison.
you know, the
Wait a minute,
thing-
and still sent you to prison.
Right, absolutely. The thing that I remember the most is you don't have any business in here. You know, you do not have any business in here. And I'm going to make an example out of you, you know. And at the time I had a small son, and it was like, your son don't need to follow your steps, so let me see if I can kind of break the chain. And again, if anybody know Judge Keegan was that kind of person.
These people watching, hardly nobody
Right.
knows. Joe Keegan
Right.
been gone a long
Yeah,
time.
she been gone a while. She been gone a while. But in any event, you know, my stay in prison was my change.
Now you got an 8-year sentence, and off camera you told me in 6 months you could have gotten out.
Yes, I could have got out of
Got out for parole in 6 months.
Yes, yes.
And what happened?
Well, you know, anybody that's been in prison understand that if you get into it with an officer and you got a parole date, you can kiss the parole date goodbye. You know, and I can remember when I was in solitary confinement, you know, usually you would be upset about not being able to go home. But I heard some tell me, I'm not ready for you to go back home anyway because you ain't been here long enough to learn from what you did before you got in here. And I believe if you get out right now, 6 months later, you're probably going to go back and do the same dumb things you was doing. And so I end up staying there 5 more years. And what I learned in that 5 years that I was on a mission. And my mission was to reach some young brothers that may have need to know something that I had to tell them.
Because you were, how old were you when you went to prison?
I was 27, 28.
So you were a little bit older. It
I was a
wasn't
little
like
older.
you were 18,
I was a
19,
little
or
older.
20.
The warden on the unit that I was on, the Clemens unit, Eddie Owens, I remember him like yesterday. In fact, he ended up being the director of TDCJ. But at the time, he was the warden on the unit, and he saw me and took a double take like, hey, what you doing here? You know, just like the judge, and people think that you shouldn't be here. But in any event, he asked me what did I want to do while I was here to make my time easier. And so I came up with a program called Self-Help Awareness, Inmate Self-Help Awareness. And my mission was to get the young Hispanic brothers and the young African-American brothers that was locked up together to learn how to live together. Because my attitude was, y'all gonna be here anyway. So why you wanna be locked down 24 hours a day because 2 of y'all wanna have a fight and gonna lock up the other 2,000? So my mission was to go down on the wing where the young guys was and get the 2 leaders out, sit down at a round table like this and say, Kevin, what the hell you fighting Julio for? Y'all brothers, y'all both in here. The prison system didn't put y'all in here, the judge put y'all in here. What y'all ought to do is learn how to find out why y'all here. And they thought about it. And they had enough influence on the African Americans, and this guy had enough on the Hispanic guys to go back and say, you know what? G-Wade making a whole lot of sense. We don't need to fight among ourselves. And so I was able to convince Warden Owens to bring in cameras. And here's one thing about young brothers that just blew me away. I used to put them behind the camera like this and sit there and start talking. And they would just be talking, and then we'll show them how they look on camera. And they would say, that's me? Absolutely, that's you. That's how dumb you look. Really. And they start realizing, let me be quiet before I start talking because the people looking at me realize how dumb I am. Mm-hmm. And you'll be surprised. And this went on until I left. And after I left, I have no idea what happened, but I know I left the impact. Mm-hmm. And that method works today. I work with kids all the time, and what I believe in is recording them and then playing them back and let them look at themselves about any topic, any subject that they want to talk about. Just so happen now, instead of prison life, it has to do more with oil and gas and petroleum, because that's what I do now.
Wow.
So,
Wow, that's powerful.
trust me, my prison stay, I wouldn't trade it for nothing.
5 years is a long time, though, G.
It did not seem like a long time. It seemed,
Really?
no, absolutely not. It seemed like I was on a journey. It seemed like I had a plan.
But what about the fact that you're laying on a hard bed, you don't have a woman with you, you don't have your wife, you don't have your son? Tell me how that
Well,
was.
you know, you have to understand, first of all, that while you're here for a reason. Okay, you got to pay back society. Now, whether you did it or not, they found you guilty. They say you have to do the time because you did the crime. So now, suck it up, accept it, pay your debt to society, because in this walk of life, going to prison or whatever is paying your debt. So I paid my debt to society. So now, do I owe society? Absolutely not. I pay society back because of what I learned from the things I went through. And prison was a part of it.
Yeah, I want to go back to something that you said earlier when you was talking about your mother passed. One of the things that happened to me, I actually had to give my mother up because I had a epiphany that, I'm in here and I might not ever see my mama again alive. I had that, and then, thinking about just being locked up, yeah, it goes by pretty fast. It is a different world. But I wanted you to speak to that when your mother passed, because
Well,
that didn't happen to me. I came out, my mama was still alive.
Let me tell you, Kevin. My mother came to see me in prison one time.
At the beginning?
At the beginning.
Was she sick then?
No, not at all. Listen, I was in Los Angeles, California, and I was extradited back to Houston. And my mother came out to Los Angeles to visit me. And she was so disappointed that I was there, because her attitude as a mom, you ain't got to be here. Most mothers are like that. And so I understood it, and she told me, I'm not coming back to see you anymore. And you made this bed hard, now you got to sleep in it. And when I saw her, she was gorgeous and beautiful as always. And maybe 8 months later, she died with cancer. So I didn't have a chance to go to the funeral. I didn't see her. To this day, I've never shed a tear, because that conversation that I had with my mother was, first of all, you don't have no business being here, and now you put yourself in this spot. Work it out. I gave you the tools a long time ago to work it out, wherever you might be. And so I learned how to accept the fact that that was my only titty to suck on.
Right.
She wasn't there no more, and it's time to step up in the paint and be a man. And from that moment on, I've always realized that the gift of that titty was no longer there, so now I'm on my own. And so I had to change my lifestyle. I had to stop thinking about doing wrong and use that energy to do right.
Right.
And to this day, anybody that know me, I'm a firm believer that by giving, you receive. The more I can help Kevin, the more I get. And it's God's principle.
And I think your mother did a great job. I remember my mama telling me, when I was doing the stuff I was doing, she said, you're going to be, you get locked up, they're going to beat you. They're going to lie on you and say you did things you ain't never seen, that you never did. And you're going to see things you ain't never seen before. Well, I actually lived all that. And she said, I'm not coming down there to get you out. Mm-hmm. She couldn't come to get me out because she ain't had no money to come get me out, first of all. And I do believe if she had the money, she wouldn't have got me out. And I think when I hear that your mother said that to you, sometimes mothers, especially with sons, want to pacify them by spending their life savings going to get somebody who's doing something, which I don't think is right anyway. I think, if you get in that position, then you need to own it. And you need to deal with it and don't drag nobody else in there. One of the things, when my mom used to come visit me, she used to look at me, you act like you ain't happy to see us. And I was like, I don't want to say that, but the truth is I really don't want to see you. Because First of all, when I come out here, I got to get butt naked. You know, they got to look all,
Up
yeah.
body.
And then when I leave, they sure got to do it even that much more. And then I got to spend a couple of weeks trying to get back to this reality here that I'm in, and then not have to think about it and hear about all the stuff at home that I can't do nothing about it anyway. So that was a big part for me, and I don't think people think about that when they're doing crime, because to choose the lifestyle of prison is to take all your control away.
Right. And that's what it's designed for.
Yeah,
It's designed to strip you of all the things or all your rights that everyday people supposed to do. So do you want to sacrifice that for prison or not?
Yeah.
You know, now that's the right way. But again, you know, I'm not going to sit here and be naive and don't think a lot of people in prison for things that they didn't do.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
But the bottom line is whatever hand is dealt to you, you got to play your hand.
Yeah.
You know, you got to play your hand, you know, especially with the system.
Yeah. But at the same time, you know, hearing it, I think if somebody who's out there doing some of the things realize that when you choose to do a crime, what you're choosing to take a chance on, first of all, getting locked up, second of all, being in a system that you may not come out of, and then being away from your family, you know, and possibly, you know, something that alters your life, even if you get out, you know, from there. I mean, I've seen guys come out and never be the same.
Right.
You know, but at the same time, they doing what they doing, not expecting that that's part
of what. You know, Kevin, I think Vivian and I had this conversation off air. You know, and we were talking about Nelson Mandela. My criminal record, what they said I did, honestly, matters the damn to me. Because I know that's not me. That's just how the system works. If you want to keep, you know, God's word says, if you love somebody, you'll forgive them. Not only forgive them, you'll forget them and wipe the slate clean. So if they hadn't wiped the slate clean, that means they don't really love me. So I understand that. So now I have to figure out how to love them despite all of that. And so what I not do is I not allow what you say about me make me operate. I operate on the principle higher than what you think. You know, so my record, I don't care about it. Most people can't rebound from that because they out looking for jobs, and the first thing they say, oh, well, you got a prison record. So what I say to brothers who have a record, and Nelson Mandela couldn't have laid it out any better, spent 27 years an enemy of the state to the head of the state. So if he can do it in South Africa, we definitely can do it in the U.S.
Exactly.
We just can't allow one slip or one pushback for us not to achieve a goal. You know, and so I say me and people who might want to emulate what I've done or follow my path. I don't allow the step that I made wrong make me be less than anybody else, because my mother instilled in me that you can achieve anything you want to achieve. All you got to do is go do it. If you give me the same set of rules, you know.
And not only that, but I think the part that you're alluding to is that you have to equip yourself. I remember one of the things that I done when I was on my way getting out of prison was that I started filling out applications in prison and mailing them. And people say, man, you crazy. Ain't nobody going to give you no job. I said, I don't care. Nobody give me a job. I got to get used to this new system that I'm going into. I can fill out a cop-out to ask, you know, to go to the infirmary, you know, to go to the commissary. I can do all that. Okay, I'm finna get ready to go into a new system. So, and even after I got out, I didn't get turned down, but probably from a couple of jobs. But even on those jobs, it felt like prison because I was working at a refinery and I had to card in every day, just like going to the factory when I was in the federal prison. So I say, okay, you know, I ain't digging this and I don't like this here. And now things are even worse since 911 because some of the jobs that I got when I first got out, I can't even get those jobs now, even if I wanted to because of a felony. So, and I tell a lot of guys when they get out, oh, I can't get a job. Well, create something.
Make something happen.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's what you...
This is a great dialogue. Well, let's let our fans get involved. Caller, turn your radio down, your TV down, and speak to us. Thank you for calling Truth and Justice with Vivian King.
Great topic. And my question is more so of a statement and comment. With the influence of the media and the younger hip-hop generation, how do you get the message to the younger brothers that prison is not cool?
Well, what's your name, my brother?
Wayne.
Wayne, I used to own a company called Omni Music Distribution, and all the young brothers that's in the music game, hip hop and rap, know me. And one of the things that I tried to instill in Houston, in the Houston market, in the music industry, is that we have to come up with this word and live this word that's called integrity.
Right.
And in my opinion, in my humble opinion, being in the music business in this town for 10 years, and those guys out there, they know, until we form some type of integrity and unity and a team, we're going to continue to fall off like what you're talking about. Rap artists degrading sisters, just all of the negative things that's not bringing positive influence to the game. The rap industry is off the charts, especially in Houston. We just have to put the positive message out there. And until the CEOs start recognizing that, and until they put their artists out front and they don't get out front, we're not going to go anywhere. Trust me, I don't have to call their name. They know who they are. I work with the top artists in this town. I put my blood, sweat, and tears and my money into developing the music industry in Houston, Texas, particularly rap. And what I found out more times than not, Kevin, the CEOs of these companies don't have any integrity.
Yeah.
All they want to do is drive a pretty car, wear the nicest tennis shoes, and don't worry about the things in the community. And that has to change, brother.
Yeah,
and it's still not too late.
And I can tell you something else that I believe, get involved. You know, you can't reach and save everybody, but the ones who actually come to you, those are the ones you be an example for in the schools. You know, teachers have it hard as it is, and parents, so we talk about public school. I mean, my baby go to a private school, and so, you know, my wife is always saying, well, you know, you going to come help at the school, but I'm at HISD school, I'm at Booker T, I'm at Wheatley, I'm at, you know, the Yates, you know, I'm at these different schools, and so I'm interacting and introducing them to different trades. You know, we do farming, garden work, you know, and garden is a wide variety of things, because the garden is where everything started at anyway. It is what I believe, and the deal is there's healing in it. And the deal is if you teach them that they have a skill or a trade, then they have value. And that's what changes, and that's what Gary was trying to do as far as even in the rap industry, that you have a skill, but you don't have to use the negative side of that. Right. You know what I'm saying? There's a positive side to it.
Right. So strengthening our spirit with love and not being so materialistic and loving on your brother.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. You know,
but having some integrity, because like Gary Wade said, that music industry is bad. Right. I mean, it's like dog eat dog. Just think of how it is. It's a pimp game almost. It really, you know, it's like you pimping artists, because you
don't
not
even making the money they say they making.
Because the people who are making the big money don't have the talent.
Yeah,
and so they're financing the studio. So they have that pimp mentality, and it's not a lot of integrity.
In the meeting room is the strip clubs.
I'm sorry.
I say in the meeting room is the strip clubs nowadays.
Well, you know, again, this is something that I'm very familiar with, because I dealt with most of the top artists, if not all of them in this town. You know, and again, they know who they are. I don't have to call their name.
Like a James Prince.
Well, you know, Jay Prince is a very good friend of mine, and I think he's a great businessman, and I think he's done some great things in this city. And so I would say James is not one of those guys, you know, because Jay Prince have done great things for this city. Despite what people say, trust me, he's a friend of mine. I know him personally, and I know he have a lot of integrity. That I know firsthand. And we need more guys that have integrity. Integrity is what it's all about. You know, let me tell you something. You do not become successful in anything unless you have integrity. And Jay Prince's success record proves that. There's a lot of other artists, labels in this town who have been on top that last 30 minutes and now they faded. So you have to understand, when you get on top, you got to know how to stay on top.
Right.
And trust me, you know, I work with Schwab House. I work with everybody in this town, music world, every single artist in this town, gospel, R&B, hip hop, and rap. And what I've seen more times than not is the CEOs of these companies do not have integrity. And until we get some integrity, we are not going to get any trust, and we're not going to go anywhere. And it is what has plagued our community for years, years, and years. And until we get that, you know, we're just not going to go. You know, I tried so hard to instill that. You know, and I haven't given up on it. I just changed from the music industry, and now I'm doing it with my young brothers and sisters in the petroleum industry. I've found a niche.
And it's a valuable
It is a
industry.
very, listen to me. I work with middle and high school kids every single day of my life for free.
Yeah.
To teach them the petroleum industry, because Houston, Texas is the oil mecca of the world.
Yeah.
In fact, the 18th Congressional District is in the heart of 3rd Ward. And we don't have enough African American and Hispanic kids in the oil business. I want to change that.
Yeah.
I want to show them how to go to A&M and be a petroleum engineer. We're working on getting a petroleum engineering curriculum at Texas Southern University. University of Houston already have one. Our kids need to be involved in more than just the hip-hop game.
Yeah.
Trust me, I love the hip-hop game.
Yeah.
I have nothing bad about the hip-hop game. The hip-hop game made me a lot of money, a lot of fame, a lot of friends, but there's no integrity there, and that's the reason why I'm not in the hip-hop business today.
All right, I thank you for your time and appreciate the positive message.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in. So we have 7 minutes, Gary and Kelvin, so let's tell us more.
Well, you know, again, people that know me in this city know how I feel about the word integrity. And that's from the mayor of the city to the last child. And until we learn how to have serious integrity, even in the courtroom or wherever we go, and try to do the right thing, we're going to always end up in last place. That's what it's all about. You know, integrity. I ask you, Vivian, would you trade your integrity for any amount of money?
No.
Absolutely not. And along with integrity come trust. Would you trade your trust for any amount of money?
No.
So the things that we really need to hold on to, we give them away for money. And money should not be the motive, because if you have trust and integrity, you got all the money you need. And that's what we need to change. And I personally think that we need to start with our babies. That's why I have programs out now that I work with Cullen Middle School, Albert Thomas Middle School. These guys, the principals know, and I'm going to get back to you guys. We just been on the hyenas for a little while, but we're going to get back together. We're waiting on Texas Southern. But Cullen, Ryan, you know, I can remember I brought 150 middle school kids from the African American community to Texas Southern University that have never been on a college campus in their life. Can you imagine how these 8th and 9th graders felt? And it made me feel good. And I
Gave them a vision.
it gave them a vision that they can go to college.
Yeah.
And so what we got to do is, I don't have nothing against my older brothers, 25, 26, and 27, but in my opinion, I think they miss this wave.
Yeah,
we need to
yeah.
reach to our babies.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, the younger we can get them, the better we are. And train them up to be somebody. Train them up to be CEOs. Train them up to learn integrity. Train them up to be petroleum engineers. And all these things that we need, you know.
Hold that thought for just a second. Caller, you're on. Turn your volume down so we can hear you. Speak to us. Thank you. Hello?
Hi, my name is James. Hi, my name is James, and I was calling, and y'all was talking about rappers. I'm trying to figure out why y'all trying to talk about rappers.
No, nobody said anything bad about rappers. We're talking about people in general, about integrity. I made it clear that I love the music industry. I was in it for 10 years in this town. I just don't think there's any integrity in the music industry in this town, or any town that I've been in.
Why do the Mexicans got everything?
I don't think they have it.
We don't understand that comment.
Yeah, I don't
sir.
understand the question. Can you be more specific about what you calling everything?
Everywhere you go, you know, they got all the jobs. They driving cars without driver's license. They crossing the border, and they not doing nothing about it.
But this is the deal, young man. All those things are interesting observations, but what are you doing? See, what we're trying to let you know is one of the things that holds us back as minorities, as black people, is that we're worried about what the Vietnamese are doing. We're worried about what the Mexicans are doing, what the Chinese are doing. What are we doing? Though Mexicans, a whole family sometimes, I'm from San Antonio, so I've seen a lot of this firsthand, will come over across the border and everyone will live in the same house. Everybody will go work at the same job, might be at Luby's. You might go to a barbecue place, everybody in the kitchen. They all carpooling together. What we don't have is, like Gary Wade said, integrity to work together. We all live in separate houses. We all want to get our apartment, and we're helping somebody else pay a mortgage. We need to all be working in the same communities, working in the same houses. Let 2 or 3 adults go to work, save your money and not spend it and make other people rich in the stores, and so that you can own something. They're pooling their resources. If you and your family members, or you and your girlfriend or brothers and sisters get together and everybody said, we're going to go out and we're going to work $8 an hour jobs, let's say, but everybody's going to put their money in the same pot and pay the same $600 mortgage in Sunnyside, buy the house down the street for $60,000. And every adult in that house pays for that for 5 or 10 years, and you save your money and y'all pay that house off, you'll be surprised at how prosperous you'll be. You get mad at these Mexicans, but they'll be living in Sunnyside or neighborhoods equivalent to it. We're still paying mortgages after 30 years. They pay for that house in 5 or 6 years because every adult is pooling their resources together. So don't knock what they're doing, learn and try to be better, because that's what we're about, is empowerment. And empowerment takes a sacrifice. You might have to cry at night. You might think people are messing over you, but if everybody in your household is working for a common good and goal, you'll achieve it, and good luck. All right.
They never pay for the taco trucks.
That's all for me. That's all I got for you, baby. Call me back when you and your family are empowered, okay? Kelvin, what do you have to say?
I just have to say that the guy that
we have 2 minutes, so
okay.
you talk your message.
The message is do your part. You know, all I can say is everybody have to get where they are. The thing, reach one, teach one, you know, type of thing. And I'm doing my part, and like you said, support each other. You know.
You know, what I would say is, if you're going to become good at anything, you have to do it every single day. You have to have a passion for it, whatever it might be. You know, I have a passion to be a businessman. I get up every single day of my life and go and do some business.
Right.
Legitimate business.
Right.
And I don't do it for a paycheck. I do it because I enjoy doing it.
Right.
Along with enjoy doing it, I get blessed.
Right.
And so whatever it might be, you got to get up every day and do it over and over and over again. And it's definitely not going to be easy. But anything you do consistently for an extended limited time, you are going to become successful in it, right. Whatever it might be. I don't care if you got a taco truck. I don't care if you got a barbecue stand. It doesn't matter. You just got to get up every day and do it.
Yeah.
That's great advice, Gary Wade. I don't care if you're getting up washing cars every day.
Whatever it is.
Whatever you do, if you wash cars every day, and we know that we can go there and get our car washed, you're going to make money. People are going to depend on you.
Right.
If they have money, they might bestow that on you. If they have other opportunities, they might bestow that on you because of your integrity, like Gary said.
Exactly.
That's what we learned tonight, right. because of your consistency,
right.
Because you're there every day and your dependability. But that's what we have to achieve in our community. As Black people, what frustrates me is we criticize everybody, but we don't do anything. I want those people who are here knocking us, or knocking Hispanics, or knocking Vietnamese, and saying what they have and what you don't have. Figure out what you can get, and do it every day, like Gary Wade said. And then you will be successful. Whenever you want to criticize somebody, flip the script and say, what can I do to be better? Yeah. And you go do that to be better. That's what we do every day. We're talking this show so we can empower you. That's my part. It's my legacy. I created this show. I pay for the show. I'm doing this for you, for your education, okay? So that we can learn to be a better community.
I have another observation.
Yes.
If you do crime every day, you're bound to get caught. So that's not something to wake up doing every day.
Exactly. If you're doing crime every day, you're going to get caught and you're going to be in prison. They have some place for you, too.
Well, get you a good lawyer.
You can get you a good lawyer.
Save you some money and get you a good lawyer.
But anyway, if you're frustrated, hopefully you've learned something. If you lack education in the criminal justice system, hopefully you've learned something. The system is not designed to get away from it. I mean, if you do the crime, you're going to do the time. It's just a matter of how much time, and make sure the facts are right. But I want to tell your story. You're welcome to look at my name, my phone number, my email address, my website at the end of the show when the critics roll. You're welcome to reach out to me. Contact me if you want to tell your story. I also have old shows on YouTube. I'm about 20 shows behind, but I do have 65 shows on YouTube. This one will be one of the ones at the end of the year I'll put on there with the other 20 that are backlogged when I get some time, when I get out of trial, because I also have to pay for that. I have to pay someone to reformatted and uploaded to YouTube. So thank you for watching the show. Thank you, Kelvin, for coming back. Thank you, Gary Wade, for coming.
We just scratched the surface a little bit. We got a whole lot to talk about, you know.
Right.
And I'm available anytime. And I personally enjoy reaching out to my community, brothers and sisters that's listening. Trust me, you can reach me anyway, anytime. You know, we'll be here. I'll be here. We'll talk about it.
All right, thank you. Well, that hour goes fast, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Without no commercials. Thank you for tuning in again. Tonight we have something really good, a hot topic in the news this week. We've been charged with crime. This is a show where I